Hello everyone and welcome to this week's behind the scenes devlog video, and this week I'm going to be doing a whole load of different things. So firstly, I want to keep working on the death animations that I started work on last week. I also want to improve the particle effect system a bit so that I can use it a bit more in the game, and of course finally I want to add a few new species into the game. So it is already Thursday morning and it's not been the best start to the week so far. It's been pretty slow. On Monday I kind of half took the day off, half spent it just answering questions and emails, just because I'd been working on the videos all weekend, so I wanted a little bit of time away from programming. And then on Tuesday I decided that I really wanted to update the traits modifier GUI, because it's quite a big part of the game and I really wasn't very happy with it. So I've been doing that for the last couple of days. It's been very boring, very tedious, and I've had to update a load of things in the GUI system, but I'm pretty much finished with that now, so I'm going to be moving on to some new stuff today. So in the new traits modifier GUI, you can see that you've got the modifiers on the left here in blue, and then you can increase or decrease these like this by using these arrows, and you can see the DP costs on the right. And when you're happy, you can click on the accept button and you can see the changes being made to the modification with this new animation that I made, which I think just makes it feel a little bit more satisfying to use. So yeah, that's this pretty much done now. It's still not perfect. I've still got a few things that I want to work on and change, but it's definitely an improvement. Just taking a bit of a break from the programming now because it was starting to get a little bit tedious. It's very slow progress today, and I don't want to lose motivation, so I thought I'd instead take a bit of a break and make a new species. And as you can see, I'm working on a new tree species here. Just finished doing all the settings for the new tree, and I've made the icon, and you can now see it in the game right here, and I'm pretty happy with it. I think I'm going to make one more tree now, and then I will go back to programming. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. I've just finished making the model for this next tree, and I've just been doing the settings and creating this icon, and now I'm going to add it into the game. So as you can see, the new tree is now in the game and I'm pretty happy with it. It looks pretty nice. So I'm going to get back to work on the programming now, and I'm going to work on particle effects because I'd quite like to have some leaves falling from these trees. So I didn't really get much else done today, which is a little bit annoying, but I did have a go at cooking a new recipe, which always cheers me up, and I cooked some spiced ginger, carrot and sweet potato soup with some flatbread. Good morning everyone, it is 7:30 on Friday morning, and today I'm really going to try and knuckle down and make some good progress. The weather's a lot nicer today, it's a lot cooler, so that should work in my favour. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty optimistic, feeling a lot more motivated than I was earlier this week, so I should be able to get a lot done today. So I'm going to get to work and I will show you what I'm up to in a bit. So to start off the day today, I've just finished implementing a new system which allows me to set the colour of the particles in the code, as opposed to previously where the colour of the particle just depended on the colour of the texture that I was using. And this is going to allow me to have the colour of the particles match up with the colour of the entity that it comes from. So for example, I'll be able to have things like leaves falling from trees now, and the colour of the leaves will always match the colour of the trees, even if you change the colour of the trees using selective breeding or the trait modifying system. Just added a particle component to these trees, which allows them to now do this falling leaves particle effect, and I've also been making my way through this to-do list of things that I need to change in the particle system. Just added some more functionality to the particle component, which now allows me to choose which model stages emit the particle effect. So you can see now that the lower model stages here, none of these are emitting any particle effects, and it's now only the final model stage that emits the falling leaves particle effect. Obviously, I still need to match up the colour of these leaves with the colour of the tree, and to do that I need to link up the entity's material system with the particle component, which is what I'm going to do now. As you can see, I've now finished linking up the colour of the particles with the entity's material system, so the colour of the leaves is always going to exactly match the colour of the trees. It is coming up to 5 o'clock now, and I've just been doing a bit of work with scale and the particle system, so making sure that larger entities, that everything about the particle system scales up so that it doesn't look weird for the larger entity. So you can see here that the leaves are larger for the larger tree here, and they also have a larger spawn area and a longer life length and stuff like that, so everything scales up and it all looks good. So now I'm going to be moving on to the final thing on this particle to-do list, which is to allow for culling, and that's basically when the entities aren't on the screen, aren't in view of the camera, then they shouldn't be emitting any particles. It is 7:45. I've just quickly made myself some pasta for dinner, and I got all the particle stuff finished, so that's all now nicely optimized. And I've now moved on to working on death animations again, because I still had a few things to finish off with that. I was having a few problems earlier, but they're all now ironed out, and I've started working on the death animation for the tree. It is 10 o'clock now. I've just made myself a nice cup of peppermint tea, and I'm currently working through this week's behind the scenes devlog video because I want to get most of the editing done today and tomorrow so that I can hopefully have a little bit of time off on Sunday. Just finishing off for the day now with a little bit more work on the dying animation for the trees. So you can see now that when the trees die and hit the ground that they now emit some particles, which is meant to look like the leaves coming out. And I'm still working on this, but hopefully you get the general idea of what I'm trying to do here. It is 8 o'clock on a very gloomy Saturday morning, and today I'm just going to be doing a bit more work on the death animations, and I also need to edit this week's devlog video. This morning I've been creating some settings for the death animations to allow them to be a bit more customized for the different species. So for example, the sheep and the tree both use the same death animation, the falling over and fading out death animation, but obviously they need to carry it out slightly differently. So for example, the sheep falls over a lot quicker, and when the tree falls over it emits some particle effects. So you can now store these settings in the species file, and these will then get loaded up depending on what type of death animation it is, and the settings get loaded up into a death AI blueprint object, which is basically just all the settings for the death animation for that species. So each species will have one death AI blueprint, and then when an instance of that species dies, so when a specific sheep dies, it will create an instance of that death AI, and that will then carry out the death animation for that entity using the death animation settings for that species. One thing that's really been annoying me recently is these flickering pop-ups for the progress bars. You can see that whenever I go and click on the traits button I have to go past them, and that causes the pop-ups to flicker, so I'm going to try and fix that now. So I've just fixed the issue with the flickering pop-ups, and to do that I just made it so that you have to mouse over the progress bar for about half a second before the pop-up appears. So if your mouse is just going over the bars, obviously nothing flickers, but you can still see the pop-up if you mouse over the bar for long enough. So I'm going to stop for dinner now, and today I'm going to have a go at cooking a new recipe, and I'm going to try and cook some chicken tikka masala. Just finished cooking the chicken tikka masala, although I did actually have to change the recipe a bit because I didn't have all the ingredients, so it might not actually be a chicken tikka masala anymore, but it tastes good, so that's the main thing. So this evening I have mainly just been playing The Sims 4 actually. I found out that you could download and play it for free for 2 days, so I thought I'd try that out. I'm not going to buy it because it's like €60, but I wanted to try it again. It's been ages since I last played The Sims. It must have been about 5 years ago that I last played The Sims 3. But anyway, the point is that I very much liked the way that whenever you moused over an option or a tab in The Sims, it would give you a tooltip or some information about that option. And so I thought I'd try that out in Equilinox. And as you can see, whenever you mouse over an option for long enough now, a little tooltip appears giving you some information about that option. So that is going to be it for this week, and it wasn't too bad in the end. I managed to get a fair amount done, so that's good. And I'm pretty happy with how everything's going, but everything just seems to take a lot longer than I expect. Like the particle effects, for example, I thought it would just take an hour or two to add some falling leaves from a tree, but then I realised how many different things I need to change, all the little details, like making sure that the particle effects scale up with the tree, making sure that they match the colour of the tree even when the colour of the tree changes, and all sorts of things like that, and I end up having to implement a load of other systems that I hadn't planned on, so it all just takes time, but I am making progress slowly, and hopefully every week I get a little bit closer to release. So next week hopefully I'll be able to add a few more species into the game, and obviously I'll continue to improve on the entity system. But yeah, that's going to be it for this week, so thank you guys very much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you all next time.